Hi, I'm Teresa and welcome to my channel. Today I thought as a little Valentine special I would give you some romance book recommendations. So I've got a bit of a mix here. I've got some that I've read and I've got some that are on my TBR, and I'm not going to be talking about these ones just too much. I feel very strange talking about books I've not read basically. And I've also got a few recs for a palentines, or this kind of celebration of platonic love rather than romantic love. And I'm just very excited to chat about these books and to give some recommendations. I love Valentine's, even though I never get to celebrate it because I am perpetually single. It's just a lot of fun. It's just this high femme, pink, and love hearts, and just celebration of love, and I love it. It's so cute. And yes, I'm just very excited to give some recommendations. I've been really feeling reading romance recently, so I'm quite excited to talk about these books. And yeah, let's just get into the video. The first book I want to talk about is possibly my favourite romance book of all time, and that is Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McKiston. So, this is obviously rather well known. I imagine you've heard of it, you've maybe even read it. If you've not, this follows Alex, who is the first son of the United States, and Henry, a prince of England. And they've got this bit of this kind of rivals to lovers thing going on here, and you follow them getting into a bit of a situation at Henry's brother's wedding, leading to an international scandal, and them needing to pretend to be friends to placate the media and their families. And this obviously develops into a real friendship and a real connection, and you follow these lovely emails and texts between them and them meeting up at international events when they can and slowly falling in love. And I just love their dynamic, love their relationship. I also love, and this is true for both of Casey McKiston's books, I love the side characters. And Casey just writes amazing, authentic characters and dialogue and relationships, and it's just such a talent, and it works so well, especially in this genre. Honestly, their books are just a delight to read. There's just this incredible humor, this incredible human connection. I love it. There is also a lot of politics in this one, and kind of dealing with being so far in the spotlight and their relationship in the spotlight. This book is just absolute perfect, light-hearted read to just sink into. I love it so much with all my heart. It's got just incredible characters, incredible humor, incredible romance, incredible everything, writing, plot, all of it. It just checks all the boxes. I read this in like about 24 hours, and I don't often do that, and at the time that I read it I really did not often do that. It just gripped me and I could not put it down. And then just as a quick bonus, also One Last Stop by Casey McKiston. I'm trying to only include books that are out in this video, so I'm not going to talk about this in too much detail, and also because I've talked about it in like all of my videos recently and I feel a bit like a broken record. But incredible romance. This one's sapphic. You've got August, who's just going about life, you know, just living in New York City. She's just moved, and she goes on the subway and she meets Jane, and we discover that Jane is stuck on the subway and she has been displaced from the 70s. And she's just this amazing, cool butch lesbian, and I love her so much. And you just follow a bit of their relationship and working out Jane's situation, and it's a whole lot of fun. Again, authentic characters, humor, relationships, it's all just perfect. Just like a warm hug, honestly. Just Casey McKiston's works are just a love letter to the queer community and to find family and just connections and humanity and love, and it's so good. They're both incredible and I highly recommend them. If you do want to know more about One Last Stop, I will link my review, same with these other books I've read, and this includes both a written review and a video review. Both are spoiler free and I do recommend you check them out. The next book I want to talk about is Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. First up, if you've read and liked Red, White and Royal Blue, you'll probably like this one. It's compared to it a lot and I really see that comparison, and I think it's a very good one, though this is its own unique story. So, you are following a main character called Luke, And he's had a couple of run-ins with the press and bad press because he is the son of two rock stars, now divorced, and when they have some drama, he ends up getting papped, and it's not always the best situations. And after a recent, particularly unflattering picture of him surfaces in the media, he stands to lose his job at a charity unless he can clean up his image and prove to the donors that he is a good gay. And so he decides that the best way to do this is to fake date someone who can improve his reputation. And to do this, he fake dates a man called Oliver. And Oliver is a barrister. He's very stoic and serious and professional and a good gay. And so you follow their fake relationship, and they're just complete opposites, trying to get along and maybe developing some real feelings along the way. And I really, really enjoyed this book. I read it in about October and I just flew through it. It was so good, so fun, so lighthearted. Something I really, really enjoyed about this book was the kind of depth it had to look into his past, into why he is the way he is, and his kind of aversions to relationships, and him working through really trauma from something that had happened in a previous relationship. I just really appreciated that depth and nuance, and I thought that was done very, very well. And I just loved how their relationship developed. I thought it was done so well, so just naturally. I thought that they just had great chemistry. They worked so well together, and I don't know, everything just seemed very authentic and really just enjoyable to read. And I always think that fake dating's not like my favourite trope, but I'm realising that I really do enjoy it because you've got this kind of slowly realising, or maybe even knowing from the start, that you really are attracted to the other person, and that kind of pining because, oh, they think it's fake, but it's not. And I just love that. It's so fun to read. And this one did it very, very, very well, and it was just a joy to read. I loved it an awful lot. The next book I want to talk about is a favourite of mine, and that is The Falling in Love montage by Kira Smith. So this one, unlike the previous three, is a young adult book. This is a rom-com, and you follow a main character called Saoirse, who is a lesbian. She's just finished school. She's in that kind of summer in between finishing school and starting something new. And she has sworn off dating. She's had a not very good experience, and she's decided she's going to stay single. But she meets Ruby, and Ruby is just so cool. She's just really light and positive, and I love that about her so much. They have this meeting, they try to rescue a kitten and maybe actually end up stealing it, who knows? And they decide to get around Saoirse's no relationships rule, to have this kind of falling in love montage like you do in rom-coms. You do all the cute dates and everything, but know that it's going to end at the end of summer. And you follow these dates and they're just so cute and so lovely. I love them a lot. I love these characters so much. Something I really, really loved about this book was the way that Saoirse talks about Ruby in the narration. Like, it really, really hit home for me. She is such a lesbian. I love her. And just the way she describes her is so like, yes, that is how I also think about women. And makes me soft, honestly. As well as the relationship, Saoirse is also dealing with some family issues. Her mother suffers from dementia, her father's getting remarried, she's got a bit of conflict going on with her old friends. And I really liked seeing how this played into her relationship with Ruby and how she kind of acted, really. And I just thought that this book was done so well. It's just the perfect light-hearted read, and I love it a lot, so much. Their dates are so cute. If you ever want date inspiration, this book is just full of it. So honestly, it's just incredible. I've spoken about it so much on my channel. I cannot talk about it anymore. I just highly, highly recommend it. The next book I want to talk about is Camp by Elsie Rosen. So this one is just another lot of fun. It's actually perfect for the summer. And you follow a main character called Randy, and he has been going to this queer summer camp for a few years now, and he has this massive crush on another boy that goes called Hudson. But Hudson is rather masculine presenting, and he is only attracted to guys who are like him, and Randy is not. Randy is rather effeminate, I suppose. He likes musical theatre, he always has his nails painted, he's really cool, but this is not what Hudson likes. In the year before the summer where we start this book, Randy just completely changes. You know, He cuts his hair short, he gets into sports, he does all these traditional mask things, and he shows up at the camp as almost someone completely different. And so this book follows his romance with Hudson over the summer, and I really like their romance. I was kind of wondering if it would be a bit weird, a bit cringy with Randy and essentially impersonating someone else, but it was a lot of fun. They still had such a connection and a chemistry, and through their relationship you also tackle things like toxic masculinity in the gay community, which was really fun, really interesting to read about. And this book is sex positive, it's so queer, it's full of community and history and so many queer characters. I love it an awful lot. It is such a good fun time, and I really just love the kind of messaging around being yourself and everything that goes with it. I just, oh, it's like a warm hug, and just a very queer warm hug, and I loved it an awful lot. Next up, we have got another YA rom-com, and that is You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. This is one I read very recently and absolutely adored. So this follows a main character called Liz, and she's just very ready to get out of town and go to college. And she has her heart set on one college, but when her scholarship falls through, she's stuck because she can't afford to go. But her town has an obsession with prom. It's a big deal, it's like the biggest event. And prom king and queen get scholarships, and so Liz runs as prom queen as an attempt to get the scholarship and be able to leave and go to college. This is not easy because Liz is one of the only black kids in her school. She's not exactly popular, and she's queer, and a lot of these parts of her identity mean that she's not really the front runner for prom queen. You know, it's like all the teen movies, it's always a popular white pretty girl that gets to be prom queen, and so you've got a bit of challenging that narrative as well, which is fun. But the romance part, since this is a romance recommendations video, is the new girl Mac joins Liz's school, and she also runs for prom queen, and so you've got a bit of a rivals to lovers thing going on here, and it's so good. I really love Mac. She's just very cool, and I also just loved their relationship and how the race played into it, and also their dates and their love of music together. Oh, it's so very cute. I really liked their relationship so much. This is honestly just such a feel-good book. It is the perfect book to read when you're feeling down, and oh, amazing. I also really recommend the audiobook. I listened to a bit of that when I was reading it, and it's a whole lot of fun. And no, it's so feel-good and joyful and full of, I don't know, the joys of being a teenager and all of that. It's just such a good fun time, and I really recommend it. And next up I want to talk about Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. So this is a graphic novel series. There's currently 3 volumes, and I adore it. It's so sweet. So you follow a main character called Charlie, and he is gay and he goes to an all-boys school, and he has been bullied a bit for this. He's one of the only out kids, but he starts talking to Charlie, who is a year older than him. He's on the rugby team, he's one of the cool kids, and he very quickly develops a crush on him. And yeah, you follow their relationship, you discover that Charlie's bi, and they just have the absolute sweetest romance. They care about each other so much. They're just so completely perfect for each other. I love it. It's amazing. This is such a feel-good graphic novel series as well. Another one I really recommend if you're ever feeling down is to just sink into this for a couple of hours. It's amazing. As the series progresses, you do also start dealing with some mental health topics. This is something Alice Oseman often writes about, and from what I can tell, she does it well and with nuance. And you've also got their friend group, which I love. It's full of queer characters, so much loveliness happening. It's just, oh, I wish I had a school experience like that, where it's just queer people everywhere and having so much fun and bonding. I love it. And you know, it's the perfect time to read it with the TV show greenlit and they're casting and everything, like it's really happening. That's so exciting, and it's just the perfect time to pick this one up. So next up, I'm going to talk about some of the books that are on my TBR. For these, I think I'm just going to give like a couple of sentences about just the basic plot, the representation maybe, and why I'm excited about them. So I found that what often puts me off of doing recommendation videos is that I've just not read as many books as I'd have liked, especially queer ones. I am quite new, like, to reading a lot of queer books. It's last year that I really started doing so, and so I just feel like I've not read enough to do a recommendations video purely on what I've read. So I want to include books on my TBR, but I don't talk about them so much because it's weird talking about a book I've not read, and I worry that I'm just not doing it very well and describing it very well. And so yeah, I'm just going to talk about it a bit less, and that means hopefully I don't say anything wrong and we can just limit it to my own excitement. So the first of these books I want to talk about is The Henna Wars by Adiva J. Gardar. This is one I cannot wait to read. I'm really hoping to read it like this month maybe. I'm just so excited by this one. It's got such amazing gushing reviews. And I'm really excited for Adiba's new book, which is another sapphic YA rom-com. This one with fake dating. So in terms of representation, this follows a romance between a Bengali, Bangladeshi, Irish, Muslim, lesbian main character and an Afro-Brazilian Irish bisexual love interest. So this has got a childhood friends to rivals to lovers kind of trope going on, and these two girls are running rival henna businesses. And I know that there's also a lot of cultural discussion and celebration of culture as well, which I'm really, really excited to read. I think there's also particularly a lot about Bengali food, which if you're a foodie, you might really, really like. And honestly, it just sounds so, so cute, so sweet, so, I don't know, everything. And with everyone else seeming to love it so, so, so much, I'm very, very excited to just dive right in. The next book I'm going to talk about is Late to the Party by Kelly Quinlan, and it's another one where Kelly Quinlan has other sapphic YA books, and I really recommend checking those out as well. So this is a coming of age story following a lesbian main character, and she's a bit of a wallflower, but she's taken in under the wing really of a popular boy at her school, and there's just this summer of fun and romance and amazing. Obviously the romance is not with the boy, I should point out. There's some major gay lesbian solidarity going on there. I don't know too much about the actual romance and the love interest, but she exists. And I'm sure they've just got an absolutely adorable relationship. I'm honestly a bit scared to read this one. I have a funny feeling it's gonna hit home for me, and I'm not quite sure if I'm ready for that yet. The description on Goodreads calls it a poignant and deeply relatable story about friendship, self-acceptance, and what it means to be a real teenager. An ode to late bloomers on wallflowers everywhere. And I love that. But also, as a late bloomer and wallflower, I'm like, is this gonna hurt my heart a wee bit? And yeah, I'm just very, very excited to read it and some of Kelly's other books. Just gonna be amazing. Next up is Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. So this is actually the second book in a series, though all the books stand alone, but this is the queer one, so this is obviously one I'm talking about here. But if you are ever in a romance mood, Talia Hibbert has written so much across so many different like tropes and pairings and everything, so I really do recommend checking her out as well. I'm hoping to have some kind of binge read of her books at some point. I'm very excited. So this is an adult fake dating MF rom-com with a bisexual main character, and yes, there's smut. There's a lot of smut in this series from what I can tell. So Danny and Zafir decide to fake date after a video of them goes viral, and Danny's trying to seduce him. She's just really interested in sex. She's not one for relationships. But Zafir is, he's a hopeless romantic. And you follow their fake relationship becoming something real. And I'm just so excited to read it. It's so, so, so highly praised. Talia Hibbert in general, but this specific book I've seen so much love for, and I'm so excited to pick it up. The next book I want to talk about is Let's Talk About Love by Claire Kann. So this has got a biromantic, asexual main character, and I just thought it was important to include a character who is not interested in sex in this video, and that romance and sex do not necessarily go hand in hand. You can have one without the other. I think that it's just very, very interesting to see that in a book, and I'm very glad that people have that representation. After her girlfriend ended things when Alice came out as asexual, Alice has just sworn off of relationships. She's not interested. But she starts to develop a crush on a cute boy working at the library with her, and she's got to decide whether she's going to risk this amazing friendship she has with him for a love that maybe he won't reciprocate, or maybe he just won't understand. And I feel for her. I really, really want to read this one. I'm very excited about it, and it just sounds like it's going to be very, very cute. But yes, from the sound of it, it does sound like this book's going to do a lot of talking about navigating the difference between asexual and aromantic, and how being one or the other plays into relationship. And I don't know, it just sounds like it's going to be so good, and I'm very excited. I've seen a lot of praise for this one as well. I've seen a lot of praise for all of these, honestly, that's why they're on the list. But I'm just very excited by it. The next book I am actually currently reading, and that is The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics by Olivia Waite. So this is an FF Regency romance. I'm so excited. And so it's between a countess and the woman she's hired to help her finish off her late husband's work. And so by day, Lucy translates this complicated French text about astronomy, and by night she talks with the countess and falls in love with her, and I'm so excited. I'm reading it and I'm excited. I'm only at the very beginning so far, but it's told through both these women's perspectives, and it's just a lot of fun. You are dealing a bit with the sexism and such at the time. You've got all the kind of like society rules and everything to follow, and that's a lot of fun. And I'm really excited to read a sapphic historical romance. I've not read one yet, but this one's shaping up to be an awful lot of fun. It comes very, very highly recommended, and so far, from the very little I've read, I'm really liking the writing style and the characters, so I'm excited to read more. But yeah, this just seems so completely up my alley as someone who studies French, and this translating idea sounds so good. But then, like, being able to fall in love with a countess while you do it, like, I don't think I'm gonna get that opportunity, but I can live vicariously through this story. The next book I want to talk about is Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell. So this one's just come out a couple of days ago at the time of me filming this, but it has had such amazing early reviews. I'm really, really excited by it. So this is a sci-fi romance, which I'm very excited about. I'm loving how, is it a trend quite recently that you've got fantasy or sci-fi but with romance as the main plot? That's really cool to me, especially as I've been getting more into romance, and it's something I want to pick up some more of. But yes, I thought this would be a fun one to include for those who maybe aren't fans of traditional romance and wanted something a bit different. There's something for everyone in this video, or at least I've tried. So this is a space opera following two princes who end up in a kind of arranged political marriage, and they are pining and they are having feelings for each other, and I love that so much. You've definitely got a slow burn romance happening here. At the same time, they're trying to solve a murder and deal with like intergalactic politics, and they kind of have to work and trust each other only, even though they don't really get along, but secretly they're pining, and I'm loving this dynamic so much. I'm just very, very excited to read it. Yeah, and that's coming from someone who struggles with sci-fi. When I first saw the synopsis, I was a bit like, oh no, it sounds like it'll be difficult, but from all the reviews I've seen, I have to try it. It sounds incredible, like almost like a fanfic, and that is a high compliment from me. Just to read like a fanfic and be full of those tropes. Yes. And next up I want to talk about Meet Cute Club by Jack Harbin. So this is an adult enemies to lovers romance, and excited! So you've got a hopeless romantic main character, and he's running a failing romance book club, and when the snarky bookstore employee walks in and says that he'll help fix this book club, resurrect it a bit, they end up working together a bit and maybe learning not to judge books by covers and just falling in love a bit. And I'm so excited. It sounds so good. Apparently it's just like sugary sweet, and sometimes you need that, and I'm very, very excited to read it. And finally, let's just celebrate platonic love a little bit for palentines. And oh, I love palentines, it's such a cute word. So some of my romance recs do have just incredible friendships, such as Casey McKiston's books, Camp, Heartstopper, but I wanted to focus on books here that the main focus is friendship and there's minimal romance maybe. So the first of these is Scapegracers by Hannah Abigail Clark. This is another favourite of mine, one I've spoken about a lot. I may or may not have created this section just to talk about it, because I love talking about it. So the main focus of this one is the friendship. You're following a kind of outcast main character, a teenage lesbian witch called Sideways, and she is taken in under the wing of the 3 popular girls of her school. And although you are following some magical plot lines and stuff with her being a witch, the main focus is these girls' friendship and the kind of forming of a coven together, and it's so good. I love it so much. They just have this kind of unflinching love for each other and complete devotion, and I love it so much. It's so glorious. It's amazing. It's something I really want to see more of, especially in YA, is these amazing female friendships and also friendship over romance. There is a little bit of romance in this book. It is definitely, it's not even secondary, it's like tertiary? Fourthery? I don't know what the, I don't know, it's very much in the background. It's not a significant part of the novel. Yes, I've spoken about this one a lot in other videos, but it's because I love it. It's incredible. And this friendship just makes me so happy, but also sad because I want it. It's like bittersweet because there's nothing I want more in the world, but I'm just love reading it so much, so it's a joyful experience. The next book I want to talk about is Loveless by Alice Oseman. So this one's particularly for my Arrow and A-Spec pals. I know that Valentine's maybe isn't always the easiest time, and I just wanted to include a book that had no romance and this positivity around Arrow Ace main characters. So this follows a main character called Georgia, and she's just starting at uni, and she's just very much finding her identity and coming into this identity and realization of being Arrow Ace and of not really being attracted to anyone. And I know that there's also just a celebration of platonic love in this book, and I'm very excited for that. Because as I've said, I love seeing platonic love in books, and she's also got sapphic friends who may or may not end up dating, and I'm very excited to read that as well, just because of who I am as a person. But yes, from what I've read of Alice Oseman, from what I know of her books, there is this lovely big focus on platonic friendship, and I love that so much, and I'm so glad we get to see it. And just finally, I want to talk about The Black Veins by Ashia Monet. This book sounds incredible, and when I asked on Twitter for books that have no to minimal romance, queer characters, and amazing friendships, the amount of people that said this one, you've got to read it, okay? So your main character, Blythe, is one of 7 incredibly powerful magicians called Guardians. And so when her family is threatened because of her power, she goes and she seeks out the other 6 to kind of unite them and to help save her family. And so this is a queer magical road trip with a found family as all these strangers come together, and there's no romance, but it's full of queer and diverse characters, and it just sounds so good, so right up my alley. It's been on my TBR for a while. I need to just buy it. It sounds so good. Yeah, there's not much more to say, I want it so bad. But yes, this has been my kind of mishmash Valentine's Palentines recommendations video. I hope you've enjoyed. I will have links to all of these books in the description and to my reviews where I can. And yes, just thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you in another video soon. Happy Valentine's / Palentines.